My guest was an Attorney General. He's Member of Parliament, Esikado Ketan, the first Member of Parliament for that constituency. He became Deputy Speaker of Parliament. Now he has been given a bigger job of expanding the country or connecting the country through rail. Honorable Joe Ghartey, you're welcome to Face to Face.
Thank you very much. You just reminded me of one of the people who works with me now. Was working with me when I was at the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
So one day I asked him that, how do you compare this place to Attorney General's office? And I'm saying it with the greatest of respect.
As in railway to Attorney General?
I'm saying it with the greatest of respect to Attorney General's office. He said, the Attorney General's office was a friendly match. This is a World Cup. So I said, but why do you say that? Because Attorney General was very busy. He said, well, in the Attorney General's office, you had people to work with at least. There were lawyers. Before, the Attorney General is a very good office. Before something comes to you, quite a number of people
will look through.
You go from Attorney General to Attorney General. When you get there, you will see, I saw work over there, someone has started. Wow. I saw work that Akufo-Addo has started. For example, the Companies Act was started in President Akufo-Addo's era with the Business Law Reform Program. The new Nexus, the new statute law revision was started in Beda Samuel's time. But this was a total greenfield. So that's what he said. So it's interesting you bring it up.
I see. We'll talk more about your ministry, but how is Esikado Ketan?
It's fine.
What is fine about it? 16 years as a Member of Parliament. What is the Joe Ghartey track record?
Well, first of all, I must give thanks to God, because we live in a country where one of the easiest ways to attack you is that you've been in Parliament for a long time. Now, I became a Member of Parliament, first 4 years, President Kufuor's administration, we lost power for 8 years. I told my people that, let's pray that you vote not just me, but also my president, Nana Akufo-Addo, to come to power. If you vote me and my president, I can do X, Y, Z for them. They believe me. I remember the last rally we had in Esikado. I took the president to a place called Debene. There's no tar there. And after he took him through a dusty field himself, when he got there, when he stood on his platform, without any prompting, the president said, vote for me. So when I go to the Roseminster, I tell you, this is presidential promise. It's not parliamentary.
So it's above your head.
It's
above your pay grade.
Yes. Okay. So basically, what it is that I have a very good relationship with them. I think that they understand that the 8 years that the NDC was in power, it was like, you know these three commentators, when they are talking about you playing an away match, they say, Obi Manso. I mean, they did a rule.
You were an orphan for 8 years.
An orphan is even, I think
I promoted you.
You promoted me. I was in slavery.
Is it really that bad for an opposition MP? You have been an MP for 16 years. You've tasted both sides. Is it the case that if you're an MP from an opposition party, no development comes to you from the central government?
Well, let me give you a typical example. 2 examples. They were doing road construction in Esikado. That's where I live. Now, it was asphalt overlay, tar upon tar. There was a tar road and they were putting asphalt overlay. The junction before my house is opposite the taxi rank. When they reached that junction, they took the tar up. They didn't come in front of my house.
Why?
Well, you better ask the people there at that time.
Maybe it wasn't part of the plan.
What are you talking about? I mean, a few meters to my house. I'll tell you the second thing that happened. We wanted to do a new park for Kojo Krom. So we went to see the chief of Kojo Krom, who gave us a hill. So we went to get money. I used my own money at that time. Get money because, all the funds that come, common fund, this fund, it's assembly. And you cannot use it for, there's some work you can't use it for. And this was preparatory work to cut through a hill so that we prepare for a park. So I cut through this hill to prepare for a park. Then we lost power. One day I was passing there, they were building something there. I asked, nobody would tell me.
You don't have power to control anything.
No, so and 8 years they didn't even finish. They still built a cheap compound. 8 years they didn't finish it.
But there are opposition MPs who still do stuff for their constituents. Are you saying
I did stuff for my constituents, but I mean, let's look at roads. When President Kufuor came, for example, Esikado to Kojo Krom, it was not a road. It was a bush path. And I told them that when President Kufuor comes, I'll do the road.
Okay. So let's look at 2005, 2009. What did Yogate do? Plus 2017, 2020. What did Yogate do?
Amazing. 2009, 2000.
Mention a few things, let me see. Hard things.
Roads.
And I know that as an MP,
Roads.
your job primarily is to make laws.
Let me tell you roads. We've done the road from Kojokrom to Iskadu.
Which period was this? Kufuor's time?
No, Akufo-Addo's time.
Akufo-Addo's
We did it Kufuor's time.
Okay.
Then he got spot for
Okay.
8 years.
Okay.
They didn't repeat.
So that's road. What else?
And then we came, stop. You said only one road. Why?
No, I'm saying that, no, so that's road. What
That's
else?
one road.
Mhm.
We are doing Debene Chrome, Agric, and Nkrofo Road.
You're working on it.
We are working on it. They've sealed it. We are doing Kansawordo to Mampong Road. It's about 6.5 kilometers. We are doing BU roads. I mean, I'm doing so many roads, sometimes I even forget all the
So
roads.
road is your priority.
You know, the interesting thing about Iskadu Keten is that it is a new part of Sekendi Takoradi.
Okay. So it's a developing
It's
area.
a developing area. It's like, it's like Shariboche, it's like East Legon. Some of the, I go to play, every area has a ridge or a hill. Debenekon Ridge, Fijai Ridge, this ridge. And the kind of houses that are there are more beautiful than the house in Accra.
Is Dadabi area?
I mean, that's up to you. I don't want to, but...
So aside roads, let's talk about, say, health. What do you do in health?
Only health, what is happening just because the president brought ambulance bay concerns, we are building an ambulance bay.
Ambulance bay.
Of course,
Okay.
we are building an ambulance bay. We've helped the Fijai, there's a Fijai clinic. We've helped them over the years. We did a chip compound in a number of places. As I speak, we are doing another chip compound in Eno. There was a place which was Antabasa. We did a chip compound. We're about to change it to solar because my plan is to change all my chip compounds to solar.
Okay.
So they don't have problem with electricity because we had a good offer from somebody who was going to give us solar. But you know, our people rushed and went to do something else, so I've left it alone. After the election, I'll change all my chip compounds to solar.
I see.
So that's in the health.
What about the markets? Markets. You have markets in your constituency. What did you do?
Kojoko Market, we developed the market. It was nothing like what it used to be. And then we built stores and so on. And we built a small market in Keten. As I speak, sword has been cut for a building of a market in Kansawordo. We are going to build another market in Nkrofo. And let me tell you how come we are building so many markets. Building of a market is the job of the assembly. It's not a job of the MP. But President Akufo-Addo and his government brought what we call $1 million per constituency.
Yes.
The $1 million is not in your pocket. There are people who are going around and saying that MP has $1 million. If you had $1 million, you see it on me. It's not in your pocket. It's with Coastal Development Authority.
Okay.
And one of the things that they allow you to do is to build markets.
So you have a coastal constituency, don't you? Your constituency is a coastal one.
Yes.
How is your beachfront like? What have you done differently from what we see on other beachfronts where people engage in open defecation?
I'll prefer if you ask them because my beachfront is wonderful. We have two beachfronts. One place called Injesia, another place called European Town. European Town is where my great-grandfather's house is. That's where the first railway line, Bisu House.
Okay.
That's where the first railway line started.
Yeah.
The ladies in European Town come from mainly the central region, Joma, so there's a Ghana community there as well. And you know, people, they migrate, they follow the fish, they do business. And they wanted a place to lay their heads. So in 2015, and that's another example of how you are maltreated when you're in the opposition. I wrote a letter, I have a copy of the letter to the assembly, that the ladies want a place to lay their heads. So use my common fund to construct it for them. Nobody.
It didn't happen.
They didn't. I mean, they didn't even acknowledge the letter. The beautiful thing about
this will be the assembly.
The assembly. Yes, because the common fund. Yes, because the common fund is there. The beautiful thing, especially about Captain Kujo, was there. That he was a very nice person. I mean, he was very nice to me, and he smiled to me every time.
But he didn't make any difference.
I mean, he didn't reply to me. But anyway, so what have I done at that place? We came to power. Truth be told, there are a lot of things that I forgot about it. In February this year, December last year, I got a visit from this woman who said, "You remember about that thing we asked you to do? It hasn't been done." I said, "Really? I thought assembly we should have done it." I said, "No problem." February, I visited them, and we've rehabilitated a place for them. I'm going to Castle next week.
So what is it supposed to be? What's
a place for them to stay?
I see. So they live there.
It's a hostel. They live there. They go away. They live there. So it's like a hostel. It's a huge colonial building that we've rehabilitated. We've done a stairway down. We've done sheds at the beachfront. When you go to India said we've done shares, but the most important thing for this fisher community is premix. Premix is the biggest issue because if you tile the beach, they can't go to sea.
So as a constituency or an MP representing a constituency on the beach, considering that you have seamen or fishermen, do you provide them outboard motors?
We have provided outboard motors.
So you give them outboard motors for free? Or
I don't give them outboard motors. It's a government policy.
Okay. But as an MP, do you provide directly to them and write sponsored by Jogate?
No. If I do that, I won't tell you. Because
I like your honesty.
If I do that, I won't tell you. You see, my attitude to these things is that for me, I always have a problem to differentiate between Christianity and politics. But, we give because that's what the Bible tells us to do. The Bible tells us that if you cast your word, but my consensus people always tell MP,
So when you give, you are not sure that it will be interpreted as Christianity or politics?
No, I sometimes don't want people to necessarily know. Because one of the reasons why I'm a politician, Chief, is your ability to help people. I mean, I meet people who I'll never have met if I wasn't a politician. Okay. 4 days ago, I was in the house. I'd met people the whole day. Then I saw a group of our 6 girls opposite the house. I said, man, go and tell them I'm tired. I can't see them. Then about second, I said, let them come in. So they came in, and I said, what do all of you guys want? Everybody wanted a sewing machine.
Wow.
So I said, okay, you all want a sewing machine? They said, yes. Okay, who's your lawyer? The one, listen, I have 4 daughters. When I looked at them, they look like my daughters. I was happy I could have. Wow. So I said, your lawyer should stand up and argue for a sewing machine. The lawyer stands up and argues, and I asked the lawyer questions, and apparently they need it when they finish their apprenticeship. And they are finishing their apprenticeship next year. So we agreed, they finally agreed that they don't need it now.
So when they finish, so an assurance of a sort.
No. So, I mean, we took it from there. It for me was, I so enjoyed the conversation with them and also we asked them other questions that for me, the ability to meet people, the chance to affect their lives, I didn't give them any assurance. I told them the only promise I can give them is that I'll do my best for them.
So how would you describe your performance? Phenomenal?
No, by God, I'll say that God-driven.
God-driven. Let me look at some statistics. When you became MP in 2004, or you won, you won with 71% of the total votes. Yes. That was huge.
Yes.
But in 2016, you dropped to 58%.
Because there was an independent candidate.
From your party?
There's a guy who rose up and said, it's called Impieni. But he said he was Pienim. It's not him. I mean,
yes,
people
so
said he was Kwame Pienim's brother. I mean, I thought about going to bring Kwame Pienim to say that I don't know the guy.
Dissociate himself.
But then I said that, there's a certain, I mean, you know it. I mean, even by bringing Kwame Pienim there, people can even use
sense that you are afraid.
Not even afraid. They can even turn it. That didn't you see Kwame Pienim in town? He came to confirm. I mean, the politics of lies is so powerful that then I decided to leave Kwame Pienim out. But then I said to the people that I predicted the percentage of votes you get, and it happened. The person, by virtue of that message he sent out, he managed to get some of my people on his side. And so that's what happened.
Was he MPP?
Some people say he was MPP. I don't know him.
So he shook you?
Not at all. He didn't shake me.
He took over 20% of your
but how big is our constituency at the time? There are constituencies which are 18,000. 20% is about 10%. He got 2,000 votes. 2,000. He didn't get 3,000 votes.
But that notwithstanding, the NDC is progressing steadily from 26% in 2004 to 35%.
Because of this independent candidate. This side there's no independent. But
but all the independent votes should go to the independent person. But if the NDC grows to that level, that's important. That should be something that should be concerned. That your popularity is dwindling. You're going down. And at 58%, you have just 8% shy of 50, and then you may have a difficulty crossing.
I want to meet you on 8 September. Book me for an interview.
On which date?
8 December.
What's happening there? You'll be acclaimed, or you'll be...
That I'll come in white.
Because the difficulty with you getting to that 8th December interview is that you have a certain Dr. Grace Ayensu.
It's not a difficult.
She has showed up, and we're told, a surgeon who is bringing doctors to engage in outreach programs in your constituency, and she is causing more confusion in your camp than your independent person did. That's the information.
I don't want to comment so much on that particular personality.
She's your opponent.
No, it doesn't matter. I don't have to comment on it. My sister is a doctor, just retired. I've been bringing medical personnel to the constituency for a long time. So, I mean, that's something I always do. My sister does medical outreach all the time. So, I don't think she's a problem. In fact, that's why I want to meet you on 8 December, because I will show you on 8 December that she is the weakest candidate that NDC has taken. The last candidate that NDC took was quite strong. He came from a certain area, 6 polling stations in his hometown. We always won it. He managed to play the hometown story. And so he got those 6 polling stations on his side. We'll see. Both me and her come for Escado. I'll win in her own police station.
Are you serious?
100% tomorrow.
We are told that she's a woman. This is the first time you're seeing a woman on the ballot in Escado, and there are so many people who are, moving towards her.
I've seen the City FM. There's a City FM something on YouTube or so, guy. If you are being influenced by that, then be careful, because if I go into any constituency and take 4 or 5 NDC people and ask them questions, of course they'll tell me good things. One of them spoke. Let me finish.
Okay.
One of them spoke and he said, "Oh, he's been here." I hear he said, I haven't watched it myself, but I hear he said, "Oh, he's been here since he was vice chairman. He's now doing AstroTurf." I was vice chairman 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I think there was no AstroTurf in the country. Today, we are doing AstroTurf in Escado because of the president and his policies. We have enough money to do AstroTurf, and that is what is happening. So I can go up and down with you in a banter. You at least give me the respect of having some experience in politics.
Yes.
Let's meet on 8 December. I'm telling you that I'll win by my widest majority ever.
Let me talk to you about the people who make you speak on 8 December or otherwise. Residents of Ishiem, you're working on a rail expansion. They said that you are not giving them the necessary compensation for their farms, their properties that you have driven your train lines through. For those of them who are watching us, what do you say to them?
I was watching Al Jazeera when I was made minister, and I saw they were trying about 18 people, I think in Kenya, relating to railway. So immediately I watched, and I think it was about compensation relating to land. And I said to myself that thank God, because in Ghana, it can never happen. Why can't it happen in Ghana? Because it's not the railway ministry that pays compensation. It's purely a matter for land department. I've been an attorney general before. One of my jobs was to certify whether a particular debt was owed to somebody or not. When you certify it and you finish and you start chasing it fiscally, the civil servants there will think that you have a personal interest in it. So my job is to make sure that the law works. As Obama said when he came here, we need strong institutions, not strong men. And the institution of the lands department must be strong. I'll tell you something, the person in charge there is my classmate. He slept by me in a fansom. Taki, I had a meeting with him. He said it's a process. As I speak to you today, they are at Ishiem paying them. I told them when they came to me that it's a process. They'll pay you.
So they're being paid?
As I speak to you
Everybody?
Today, they've taken the offer letters.
We're told that those with farms are being paid, but those with properties have not been touched.
Just now, but because the properties have to be valued, because it's a process.
But you see, you're speaking as a lawyer, but don't also forget you have to speak as their representative. They want you to speak for them, but this position sounds as if you are at cross at
not at all, because what I do as an MP is that I go and tell the people that you've got to pay these people. I mean, don't forget also that I'm a head of this institution. So GRDA, which is my agency, if I fight with them, I won't come on radio and say that I fought with them.
Yeah.
So I'm on top of this thing.
Okay.
And that is why today they tell me by WhatsApp that they are in a shape. When they offer you the money, you don't have to accept it. Under our constitution, if you don't accept it, you can always disagree with them.
Okay.
So it's been done. Now, the people of Ishiem wanted to hold a press conference that is not the whole of Ishiem, just on swap. I said, no. Those people have as much right as anybody else. So don't hold a press conference.
Before we leave your constituency, you said in August 2019 that the new railway university in your constituency will start admissions. Has it?
Chief, has Legon started admissions?
You said in 2019.
Has Legon started admissions?
Legon would have done admissions for last year.
Are they started admissions this year?
Yes, they admitted last year.
But this year they started?
No one has admitted anything this year.
That's the point. It's because of COVID.
But you said this in 2019.
that it will start admissions in 2020.
You said soon, so we didn't know when soon
So I'm
was.
telling you, soon is 2020.
So which month in 2020?
How can I tell? I'm not the Minister of Education.
The president has said schools will open in January, so you should start the administrative processes now if you are a serious university ready to accept students.
Let me tell you something. The university, we are doing it in consultation with University of Mines and Technology. We have finished the structures. They have advertised. They have a dean. I've met with the dean, accreditation board. It is their responsibility to make sure that is done. And they are saying that at the time they start admission, they will also admit people because they've even advertised. People have even applied to the school already.
Your votes may be hinged on whether or not students go to this school. You don't want people to go at all or receive the admission letters before December 7th?
No, the people, it's not about votes, my friend. The life is not just about votes.
There's more to it.
There's more to life than just votes.
There's more to life on face-to-face than just the Esika Dokita